Okay, friends, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the third session of Ride Smart. And you know what's the plan today? Topic is on bone health and cycling, and I will introduce who's going to be our guest today. You already know. Um, well, we've had two sessions, and let's get a quick view of that. This series of sessions are done every fortnight with one purpose, that is to educate all our cyclists from around the country. We've started with the early session was about how to select the right bike, and continuation of the topic of safety. I think ඔක්කොම සාදරයෙන් පිළිගන්නවා සුබ සන්ධ්‍යාවක්. මේ Ride Smart session එකේ third session එක අද අපේ topic එකත් හැමෝටම clear. ඉතින් මේ topic එකට යන්න ඉස්සෙල්ලා අපි පොඩ්ඩක් බලමු අපි කොතනද දැන් ඉන්නේ කියලා third session එක වෙනකොට. ඉතින් if you remember, we did a bit of work in the first session on how to select the right bike. So this video is available for you to have a look on Spinner Cycling YouTube. Very important decision. A lot of people started cycling with the current challenge. Some of them have now stopped because the petrol has come, but I'm sure they will continue to look at options. So then selecting the right bike is going to help. But right now, please use the bike you already have, because that is good enough to start. So won't talk about that today. If you have any questions, please connect with us directly. Of course, Spinner has a YouTube in which there is a long video, a very detailed video to check. Main discussion all along was about safety, and we'll continue the discussion on safety today also for a short while, and then we will introduce our guest speaker and get to our key topic of bone health. The reason I'm wearing a helmet once again is head first, because this is crucial. Majority of our Sri Lankan cyclists do not wear a helmet, and that is not a good idea at all. So remember, when we discussed, we are a vehicle on the road, so every rule on the vehicle applies to us. So hand signals are a lifesaver. I know some of us are early into riding and little nervous, so as a result we tend to be very stiff on the bicycle. But gradually, when you get a bit comfortable, you have to start using the hand signals: turn left, turn right, slowing. Especially use your hand to show the motorists that you are also part of the road. They are coming at higher speeds than us, so hand signals were discussed. Then we talked a lot about the safety equipment. A lot of safety equipment are there, but gradually you can build them up. But there's no excuse to having the basic, which is your helmet. So, and then Spinners introduced this interesting gadget called the safety harness, which is now becoming very popular. We see a lot of people wearing it, and will continuously share this. And I'll have one or two videos at the end why this is so important. Visibility is the lifesaver. Head safety is going to be crucial. And the rest are all types of equipment that you could use. You don't need all of them, but then the basic equipment helps. Any investment on safety is crucial. Why is this emphasized all the time? Wherever you see somebody not using it, politely try to remind them, encourage them, so that they would also do the right thing. Someone has raised the hand. Is there a question? Is it Ayman had a question, or okay, we are friends, we will take all questions at the end, so you can message all the questions. We will keep the mics mute for the moment, and at the end of the session we will have a good Q&A for sure. So we talked about this whole thing about the yellow hat. I don't know if you can see it in the back. That is the most simplest helmet, not the perfect one, but to start with, if you can't afford an expensive helmet, but have some helmet. So that discussion we have already started. Wearing a helmet just because you have a helmet won't help. There's a right way of wearing it. That also last week we discussed. C is the right answer. 2 fingers between the top of the helmet and your brow, ear brow, and also ensure this is nice. Now this is not good. It has to be fitted well, right? so that in case there's an impact, this helmet won't go flying, and it's gonna help us. So not going to go into detail. So we see a lot of this today on the road. So many cycling and very little focus on safety. Now, this cyclist is doing it for a living, but as you can see, he's protected his bicycle, but he hasn't protected anything else. And that's really sad. That has not thought through, has not been thought through. So you got to be absolutely road ready from a safety point of view. Final point on this, we talked about the ABC, air, brake, and cranks, right? Remember, before you get on the bicycle, you have to check your machine, whether the air is right, whether the brakes are working. Brakes are the most valuable, most effective, impactful equipment on your bike. Then obviously your chain, your crank, all the C items has to be checked so that nothing comes off when you're riding. So remember the ABC before you get on the bike and ride. Never get on the bike that was parked on Sunday, on Monday, and start riding, assuming everything is okay. And that's a very bad idea. So use the ABCs test. So air, brake, and cranks. We also talked a bit about technology, especially this WhatsApp live tracking. Especially your family should be able to track you. If you have a smartphone, please activate WhatsApp live tracking so that they know where you are. I mean, if your child is cycling to school, a parent would want to keep a track. If your husband or wife, knowing where they are any given time, we use this heavily. Try to start using this because it's a good habit. If you're on Strava, which is a very good app, and if you're on the paid version, there are also options for a family member to track you in case of an emergency. So road from a point of view, we said watch out for the holes. We said the big holes are not a big problem. Small holes are the ones that can really be a problem. We talked about the animals, dogs we've discussed. Now we know how to handle dogs, but remember the Yasas are the ones, the biggest ones who can go in your eyes. We talked about that. Every time you take your hand off, you are at risk. So both hands on the bike unless you want to make a hand signal. So all those discussed, cars, car doors were all discussed, but most of the time we are also a motorist. So remember, we have to ensure motorists also respect cyclists. So if you are doing the right thing, keeping the 3 feet and using your hand signals, using your car signals, as well as sticking to the lane, right? When you're a motorist, maybe others will also follow. We have more work to educate our motorists. So that's it on a little intro to our safety discussion, because we want to get to our core session today, and we can answer any specific questions or you have anything to clarify. There onwards, we will move forward to today's session. I hope everybody's hearing us loud and clear. Looks like there are no power cuts today. Okay, friends, so my name is Yasas. If you don't know me, I am obviously a cyclist. I'm also the founder of Spinner. And my background is cycling biomechanics since 2012, which is my passion. Also, we provide that service at Spinner. And I am privileged and honored to have Dr. Kandeepan, who's also my friend and fellow cyclist. Doctor, welcome. Good evening once again.
Good evening, Yasas, and good evening, guys and girls.
And doctor is a specific doctor. He's an orthopedic. He's consultant orthopedic surgeon and a senior lecturer. He's at the teaching hospital of Jaffna. He's done a lot of work in the East, and he's involved in a lot of bone work, and also very, very serious cyclist, passionate cyclist. So we have a few things in common, and he's going to take us through the discussion of bone health and cycling. So just before I let him speak, once again, the cycling school, which is organized in this session, is one session. What we do online is Ride Smart. We help people learn to ride, as well as the ones who are looking to improve their cycling performance. So from my point of view, I'm a big fan of the bicycle, getting the right size, and also getting your body to be properly aligned and optimized on the bike. So that's where I come from. So I am going to moderate this session with Dr. Kandeepan. So when you say a bike and a body, we can just take and sit on the bike and ride. But the reality is the way you sit on the bike and where you connect with your bike is directly related to your physical dimensions, which means you have a muscle system that operates the mechanics of your body that operates on a bike. We've discussed this a little bit, and understanding how your muscle system works really helps to be efficient and effective on the bicycle. And obviously your muscles don't stand on its own. Your muscles stand on a bone system, which is, I understand that from a very outside point of view, but Dr. Kandeepan is somebody who knows it inside out. So when you put these biomechanics together, you can do great performance. So our relationship at Spinner is with Rethule USA, which is the hub for biomechanics. And when you understand the body-bike relationship, your performance can go to another level. So let me show you like an interesting video from my past with Rethule in Colorado, where the biomechanics hub headquarters is located. And of course, how I was involved in a bit of a performance. You might enjoy this video, and then we'll go into the discussion. So this adventure I will share with you another day. This was an amazing adventure climbing the highest motorable road or mountain USA in Colorado in the Rockies range. But I wanted to show you the place where the knowledge for bike fitting comes from, which is called Rethule USA, where Spinner has a relationship for a long time. So when you take a bicycle, we as bike fitters are concerned about the 5 areas: the 2 hands, which connects with the handlebars, obviously your 2 feet, which are connected to pedals, and they're all linked to the bones of the body. And then of course, the largest bone, the pelvis, that sits on a saddle. And a lot of people have challenges there. So we do a lot of work to figure this out from a biomechanics point of view. And today, I'm excited to now invite Dr. Kandeepan to take us through a discussion, which I will ask him the questions, and he will take us through the subject of bone health and link it to cycling. So, Dr. Kandeepan, over to you. If you can share your screen, and I can maybe give an intro and I can ask the questions. Dr. Kandeepan, how do you want to do this?
Yeah, good evening, Yasas, and thanks for your the kind introduction, and welcome all of you, dear cyclists. Yeah, so I will share the screen, and just as you can moderate, and
Sure, so I can do that.
To be emphasized, and what are the topics you need to be known, right? So those things we can moderate me. First of all, I give a brief introduction about the bone and the bone density and everything, so then everybody will get an idea. All right, shall we do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just to start with, doctor, let me tell you what we are planning today. So yes. Basically, we are going to talk broadly about bone nutrition. We are going to talk about preserving the strength of bones and resisted training. We plan to talk about back pain, shoulder pain, the typical issues, knee pain for cyclists. We want to talk about nerve compression in cyclists due to improper positioning. Most of you have ridden a little long distance, little spent a bit of time on the bike could have such issues. And of course, we all fall once in a while on a bicycle, and when that happens, bones get involved. So how does that come into play? So there are 5 such areas we want to discuss, plus your questions. So I will probably start is on the subject of bones and bone nutrition. Doctor, over to you.
Yeah, so these thanks, Yasas. It's going to be a friendly discussion. It's not going to be a lecture or preaching or consultation, right? So it's going to be a friendly discussion. Everybody, yeah, you are free to discuss, but we will keep the questions at the end of the session. Then we can answer one by one. And okay, I will share this. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Right. Okay. So we are going to talk about bones, joints, nerves, and cycling. So it's mainly the bone health, as Yasas said, the bone health and the nutrition and the specific injuries happening in the cycling. So these are the topics I am going to touch today, right? So that is a bone nutrition. First of all, we should know what is the bone mineral density, the BMD. Most of the people will be talking about BMD, right? So what we cyclists, most of us, we don't know what is BMD, right? So we will touch about that. Then how to nourish our cyclist bones, right? So then the preserving the strength of the bone, then the back, shoulder, elbow, and knee of cyclists. These are the important areas we get problems, we cyclists. And the nerves of the cyclists, the particular compressions. Then the last topic would be the accidents and common fractures in cyclists. So first of all, I will tell you something about the BMD. So that's called bone mineral density. So imagine about a concrete pillar. So in a concrete pillar, we have a concrete the surrounding the metal. The in will be in the middle. There will be metal bars, and it's surrounded by cement, concrete. So our bone also the same. So it has the similar type of structure. So the concrete is calcium. So it's made of mostly calcium. So the calcium will be deposited, and that gives a lot of strength to our bone, right? So imagine if that concrete is lost, what will happen if the concrete is lost, right? So you can see the second picture. So if the concrete is gone, so our bones will get lose their strength, right? And it will start to break, right? So this is the whole idea of the bone mineral density. So there we imagine the concrete. So that's the one is causing the giving the strength that we are calling as the density, right? So this is how our bone gets its density, right? So up to the 20 years of age, our bones will get more and more calcium. It will start on getting its strength. But after the puberty, after 20 years of age, right, we will start losing the bone strength. All right. So that's a normal phenomenon. It's happened for everybody, right? So that's why we always encourage children to do a lot of exercises and to eat take a lot of calcium and good food. So thereby they can increase their bone density. Then they can make a bone stronger. So that will last longer in our later age, because in our later age, the bone will lose its strength, right? So that's a natural phenomena. So we can't do anything, but we can slow down the loosening process, the strength process, the loosening of strength process. We can slow down it, right? By doing exercises and everything, right? So I will come to the point why we cyclists are worrying about this, the bone strength or the bone mineral density. Right? So you may be thinking that, so we have a strong bone, we are doing exercises and we are eating enough. So why do we have to worry? Right? So that's why the thing is coming here, because the cycling is considered as a non-weight bearing exercise, right? So they're like the swimming, right? So because when we are doing the exercise, the body weight is not going, because we are sitting and doing the exercise. Right? So our body weight is not going completely through the bone, right? So that is the one reason, like, you know, you are traveling to a space. So when you are traveling to the space, the people are saying that you will lose your bone, right? Because we are going out of the gravity. So this is what happening when you are doing a long distance cycling, or when you are doing traveling for, when you're doing training for long hours, right? So we will use the strength of the bone, right? The calcium will start to lose, right? So that's why, so we cyclists, we should care about our bones, right? So how to care about our bone, right? So we need three things to maintain the strength of the bone. One is the calcium, so that you can get it by food. Then other one is the exercise, right? So then the vitamin D. Vitamin D we are getting through the, the sunlight. So we have enough. So calcium, so we can get it from the food. But the exercise here, the problem is, because if you are a keen and only you are doing a cycling, your main exercise, so you won't get enough strength by doing the cycling exercise alone. So you need some other exercises to maintain or to preserve the strength of the bone, right? So these are the three things we are always worrying, right? One is the calcium, then other one is vitamin D, then other one is exercise, right? So first, the first topic of mine is the food, the nutrition, right? That's why I'm coming into the calcium. So how to take the calcium, right? So, I have already mentioned. So our cyclist bones need a lot of calcium. So reason is, one is I have already mentioned, it's a low impact sport like swimming. So imagine swimming, right? So when you are doing swimming, our body weight is not transmitted through our bone like that. Like when you are doing cycling, also the same thing, right? So our body weight is not completely transmitting through our bones because we are seating, right? So because of that there's a lack of mechanical load in the bone. So the bone will lose the calcium, right? Then other thing is when we are sweating, the calcium also will get loose, because sweating, when you're doing a lot of sweating, mostly the sodium with that calcium also getting lost. Then the low energy availability, because if you are not eating properly, when you are doing the strenuous or heavy exercises like cycling or long distance exercises, if you're not eating enough food, if you're not taking enough minerals, so we will lose calcium, right? So these are the yeah, how to maintain the the bone nutrition, right? So that is other way how to maintain the bone density, right? So consume calcium rich food regularly, like milk, almonds, green leaves. Those are the calcium rich food. And the other thing is participate in weight bearing exercises. So mind it is a weight bearing exercises. So what happened most of the time is, after doing the cycling, what we think is, oh, we have done enough exercises, so we will take rest. So then we will keep on resting for a day, right? But we are not doing any other exercises. That's not good, right? We need the strengthening exercises, right? So then only our bone will get stronger, right? Otherwise, what will happen? So actually cycling is good for cardiac, and there are so many other benefits from cycling. But in the bones point of view, we need some strengthening exercises to maintain the bone health, right? So strengthening exercises in the sense, heavy lifting, skipping, running, jogging, right? A short period at least, right? So those things will help to maintain the strength of the bone, right? Then the vitamin D, so obviously it's coming from the sunlight, and quite or reduce smoking and alcohol intake and caffeine intake, and avoid or reduce the fall risk. Because if you get a fracture, so definitely our bone will get weaker, right? So that will impact our bone density. So we should avoid falling and getting fractures. Yeah, so this is an idea of good bone nutrition, right? So what are the foods we can get good calcium, right? So everybody knows that milk has got a lot of calcium, right? But not everyone is happy to take milk, right? Because there are various reasons. Some people, they don't like milk, and some people, they are worrying about the fat in the milk, right? So in case, so we can get enough calcium from vegetarian food as well. So you see, so this tofu mean is soya, right? It's made of soya. So, and fruits and soya beans, chickpeas has a lot of calcium, right? Then other one, this chia seed. What is the chia seed? Chia seed means we usually say the kasagasa, right? You know, in Tamil is kasagasa, I don't know in Sinhala. What is that jasas that we put it to the juice and the sarbat and those things, right? It will be like this, right? If you put it in the water, yeah, it will become like this. What is that called? In
I also call it chia seed. I will try to find that.
In Tamil, we say kasagasa. We say as kasagasa, right? Singalang kasagasa, right? Yeah. So it has lot of, you won't believe, it has a lot of calcium, right? Yeah, go behind. Yeah, so you can see the 100 gram of chia seed gets 31 milligram calcium, right? So whenever you are taking a cool drink or whenever you're taking your drink, right, you put some your kasagasa over there or the chia seeds and drink it. So it will give you a lot of calcium, right, for our need, right? And obviously green leaves, sweet potatoes, almonds, those are sometimes expensive, but chia seed we can get it. And the chickpeas, because my favorite is the chickpeas, right? And the oranges, right? So, and sesame seeds, that also has a lot of calcium, right? No, our telbola, right? What is that? In Sinhala, what is a telbola? It is a, we get it.
Is it kadala?
No. The sesame seed, right? We get the sesame oil and the
sesame seeds. Oh, okay,
yeah.
okay. Talada?
Huh?
Talada.
Telbola kira kiyani, yeah, that the round one, they put jaggery and everything and mix it. And
that is tala, doctor.
Talabola, yeah.
Talabola, yeah.
Right. So like that. So those are the good food, right? So you can take it for calcium, and yeah. And the next one is preserving the strength of the bone. You know, we need bone strengthening exercises, right? Yeah, I can show you like exercises like this. Actually it should be a weight bearing exercise, right? So that's the one, or resistant exercise, right? So we should allow weight to travel through our bone, right? So that will increase the strength of the bone. Okay. And then if I come to the next topic is the back, shoulder, elbow, and knees of cyclists, right? So Yasas is expert on it, and he will tell better than me. But there are some problems, right? I can specifically say mainly the back and the knee, right? So the people can get back pain.
Doctor, can I ask some questions?
Sure.
Because others might also be joining on the earlier one. So I think what you brought is the natural foods needed to keep the bone health. Calcium specifically. So now some of us who are into a bit of regular riding, we have this feeling of general guidance that you should have about 1,200 milligrams of calcium per day, and also about 400 milligrams of magnesium. There is a limit that you could get from your natural foods. If so, should you also take some tablet if you are regularly riding? What is your view, doctor, on the intake and maybe supplements or a tablet?
Yes, because I will always prefer to take the calcium with my natural source of food, right? Because why I am saying that is, even though you are taking as a tablet, we'll say you are taking 1,000 milligram, 1 gram tablet, imagine the size of the tablet. But out of that tablets, only a certain percentage will be absorbed into our body. Right? But when you're taking with your food, right, that is from your natural source, right? So that almost 100% will be absorbed into your body. Right? So that's why we always prefer to take the calcium with our natural sources, right? Because the form of the calcium available in the natural source will get absorbed in our body very quickly and efficiently, rather than when you are taking a supplement. We'll say you are taking 1,000 milligram or 1,200 milligram of tablet, right? So only a 20% or 10% will be get absorbed into our body, right? So taking calcium with the food is more effective, right, than taking a calcium supplement. But it is acceptable to take a calcium supplement, but to take 1,000 milligram of calcium tablet, that means the effectively you should absorb in the 1,000. You should take at least 5,000 milligram of 5 tablets of calcium. So that's not possible, right? Okay. So it's better to take it with your food, right? That will be more effective than taking a calcium supplement. But some people, they take just before they recommend 90 minutes before the exercise, taking a supplement and start doing your cycling, right? So that's also recommended. It's all right, but I would I didn't get you, Yasas. It's breaking. I think some problem with the communication, right?
We will continue, doctor.
All right. Okay. I think some issue
Yeah.
with the answers. Yeah, because the question, I think everyone else will understand this. Yeah. So you need calcium, right? But the natural source of calcium is more better than the supplements, right? But in case if you don't have for a unprepared exercise or something, you take a calcium before doing exercise, that is acceptable. But the preferred method is taking with the food, right, with the source, because I have already shown what are the natural sources which are rich in calcium. So better choice, choose one of them. That is really all right. Okay, so till Yasas come back, then I will go back. I'll go to my next topic, is the back, shoulder, elbow, and knees of cyclists. So we cyclists, most of the time, we get the problem with our back. So there are two reasons. One is the problem with the calcium, right? So if you lose calcium too much and it is not supplemented, right, or it is not fulfilled, so you will get problem with your backbone and the hip bone, right? Because those are the two areas they get affected by loss of calcium. Okay, so you can get pain because of loss of calcium and weakening of the bone. Then other thing is the improper bike fit, right? So if you ride a bike which is not fitting properly with your body shape, so you will get problem with the back and the knee, right? So those are the two reasons you get pain. So you should get enough, that is I am telling about for a cyclist who are a regular cyclist, right? And not for an occasional cyclist. For the regular cyclists, these things. So we should check with the bike fit and the nutrition supplements, right, or the calcium intake. All right, and so overall, so everybody knows about this, right? Yasas, you are back in, right? So you had some problem with the. Yasas, you can.
Okay, sorry, doctor. I can hear you. I hope you can hear me now.
Yeah, so that so we have moved to the next topic. So you are
got it.
Yeah, you're happy with my explanation about the calcium.
Yes, I'm happy with the explanation. Thank you. Got it.
Okay.
Did you also touch a bit about magnesium?
Yeah, magnesium I didn't touch about it because magnesium also is one of the important nutrient, right? But we are not worrying much about it because with our normal food, magnesium is we are getting enough magnesium, right? Okay. So we are not worrying much about it. Yeah.
All right.
Mainly the calcium is matters. And so then I'm moving to back, shoulders, elbows, and knees, right? Yeah. So that's mainly, yeah, I was telling it's mainly two reasons. One is your improper nutrition and weakening of bones, right? So because of inadequate calcium, so you will get problem with your backbone, lower backbone, particularly your lumbar spine and the hip bones, right? So those are the two areas they get weak quickly because of inadequate calcium. That is one reason. And other main reason is the improper bike fit, right? So if you are riding a bicycle which is not fitting properly to your body's shape, you will get back pain, right? Of course. So you should go to a proper, you know, bike fitting specialist. Then you should make adjustment, and you can get rid of them. And then other thing is the, you know, the elbow, shoulders, and wrist. There's also the same. There's most problems, right? That's are coming with the mechanic, you know, the biomechanical problems, right? So you should get a proper bike fit and the positioning of your bike. So with that, you can get rid of those problems. And so you can see how so first is the incorrect posture. So the second is a correct posture. So you can see, right? So the gluteus are underloaded and hamstring loss. You know, they have a flexed back, and then the proper should be the extended back and you know, straight shoulders and that sort of thing. So you should get your posture corrected. So that will sort out most of the back and the knee problems, right? Yeah. And yeah, so then I'm coming to the common injuries which happens with cycling, right? The most common one is the collarbone fracture, right? You can see, right? So when you're falling on your shoulder, right, you break the collarbone over here, right? So that's the bone, right? So that's, I think most of the cyclists would have. I think Yasas also got once, I think, I remember, right? So you also got one, right? Okay, once. Yeah. Right, but so nothing to worry, right? So this fracture we are considering is a simple fractures for us, right? It's the management is most of the time a conservative, you know, just putting a sling, that's enough for 3 weeks. But if you are a, you know, pro cyclist and you have to go back to your riding very soon, then we can fix it. But most of the people, they will do very well with the just a conservative management without surgeries, right? So that's a common one. Then other one is the you know, if you're falling on your shoulder, you will dislocate the acromioclavicular joint that we are calling as AC joint, right? So this picture shows, right? So that's the one. So most of the cyclists have a, you know, little bit of a bump on the shoulder. So that is called as the acromioclavicular dislocation. This is also will be managed conservatively. It doesn't need a surgery most of the time, right? And we can manage conservatively because it won't cause any issues in your ridings after, right? After the injury, right? Unless, because the pro riders are exceptional, you know, that the Tour de France rider and very professional riders, they can get fixed. But for us, normal casual riders, you don't have to worry about them. But better avoid falling like this, right? But if you are getting an injury, you don't have to quit cycling, right? You can still continue cycling, right? So it won't cause any issues in your career. And yeah, I'm touching a little bit about the nerve compressions, right? So mostly we get numbness in our fingers, right? So that's because of improper handling of our the handlebars. This is called as handlebar syndrome, right? Or cyclist compression or handlebar syndrome. That's you will get compression over your the ulna, you know, the ulna bone. That will get a numbness over your little finger and the ring finger, right? So I have seen a lot of cyclists, they comes and complain about numbness in their fingers after riding. Some people, they have a weakness also, they can't hold anything, right? Because that's happening for a long time because they didn't know about it, because they didn't bother, and they got weakness or wasting of the muscles, and they get weakness in the hand as well, right? This is called as handlebar syndrome, because when you're holding the handlebar improperly, so you will get compression of the ulnar nerve, right? So that has to be corrected, you know. So the holding the handle, you should not do, because they say your wrist should be straight with your arm when you're holding a handlebar, right? So that it should be like that. So if you are holding it with a, you know, incorrect position, then you will get the compression, right? So that's a very common compression. Then other one is we are calling as a carpal tunnel syndrome. That also the same thing. So we are getting a compression of the middle of the palm, right? So when you're holding with the middle of your palm and very tight, right? Without, you know, very tight and very stiff. Because when you are riding a bicycle, you should be very relaxed, and you know, all your hands and everything should be easily movable, right? So if you are holding it very rigid and very tight, and you will get these nerve compressions. Okay, so these are the two. One is the carpal tunnel, other one is these ulnar nerve compression. These are mainly due to a improper bike fit and the improper holding of your handlebar. And there's another one, you might get numbness in your bottom of your back, on the bottom or in your genitalia area, right? That is because of the pressure from the saddle. So, because if the saddle height is not properly adjusted, or if the saddle is, sometimes if the saddle is too rough or too hard, right? So you can get compression of the nerve called pudendal nerve. That also you can get numbness over your genitalia. Sometimes people get, the cyclists get worried, they get numbness over the genitalia, and it will be giving trouble in their future life and everything, right? So nothing to worry. That is purely due to the improper positioning of your saddle, right? Adjust it, it will go away, right? That's all, right? So those are the main things. And sometimes people will get numbness over the foot, right? That in the between the toes, right? So between the toes, that is because of the improper positioning of the cleats, right? The cleats and over undue pressure in the pedal, so that can cause numbness in the toes, right? So these are the common things. Just ask anything else you want to ask, and I can tell about it. Just you're moved.
Sorry, it's 8:57. Do you have 5 minutes more, or how's your timing?
Yeah, I have 5 minutes more. Yeah, we can. Yes.
Okay. Is there any questions on the chat? We could look at that. There's a question, doctor, saying, what's the reason for lower back pain?
Yeah, so that's what, because I have already mentioned, there are mainly two reasons. One is your improper positioning in the saddle, right? So if you are sitting in a crouch position, the bent position, right? Your pelvis is tilted forward, right? And your saddle is too high or too low, right? So you can get back pain. Then other thing is, the inadequate nutrition, weak bones, right? So that's the other reason. So you should sort out, because I think better you check your bike, your check and go to a bike fit specialist. Then you can check it. Then you can adjust the seat height and it will sort out. Then there's another reason also, that is continuously riding on, higher gears. Higher gears in the sense, you're giving too much of pressure to get the speed. Some people ride on the smaller the wheels in the the smaller back wheels, right? The cassette. So if you are keep on riding in a smaller wheels, that also can give back pain.
Let's see. I think we have another question. Should the bicycle seat be higher than the handlebar? Shahani, we covered that last time. It could have on the images. Yes. So most of the time, yes, the bicycle seat tends to be higher than the handlebar. So if you, we will send you some info on how to calculate the handlebar saddle height. We discussed last time, you can take your inseam length and do a little bit of a calculation, and there is a video that you could watch on Spinner Cycling on that, Shahani. But if that's not clear, we will help you further. Get in touch with us. Yomal is asking, doctor, if you carry a heavy laptop on your back. This is a very good question. I do a lot of work with a lot of people who are, today also I got somebody with knee pain. And we tend to think that we are always body weight, a majority of the body weight on the saddle. But we don't realize sometimes to get on the bike, we have to put a lot of weight on one leg and the laptop and the whole back, 15 kilos on your back. And when you stand and ride, you are suddenly putting a lot of weight, and a lot of them have not done any workouts before getting on the bike. So this backpack weight, do you want to comment a bit, doctor, on that? Yomal's question.
Yeah, so Yomal, the thing is, this back pain when you are carrying a laptop and everything, it is because of purely improper posture, right? So because when your posture is not correct, what will happen is you will get problem in because backbones have small joints, right? So all those joints will get affected, and because of the improper positioning, the weight will be transmitted unequally. Then you will get one part of the bone or one part of the joint will get worn out, right? Will get wear out. Then you will get a problem. So that's the reason. So you better correct the posture. So that's the main reason you are getting a back pain.
Hafiz, your I will also comment on that. So also your core strength really matters. If you are, as a cyclist, one of the key exercises we have to do is to totally strengthen your total core, because the weight you put, if you don't strengthen your core, it's totally going to come on your bones. The muscles are not going to hold you well. So if you have a strong core, you still can have a small angle and carry this in a very good posture. So, doctor, do you agree with me?
Yeah, absolutely. Because the core muscle strengthening is the main thing to prevent back pain. Because people who are, because we always recommend core muscle strengthening exercises for people who are having chronic back pains and problems. So improving your core will support the bones, and it will give a better relief in back pain.
Hafiz, your question on Yomal, I hope your question got answered. Hafiz, your question on cramps, we'll have to discuss on another day. We did a bit of nutrition last time, but we'll put some extra thoughts on this for you.
Yeah,
it's a lot to do with.
I can give a little bit about these cramps. Because it is a still is an unsorted problem, because no one knows why this cramp is occurring, right? Cramps are coming because not everybody is getting. Some people are more prone to get cramp, right? So there are reasons. One is if you are not properly trained, right? So if you are trying an exercise which is not you are not used to do, right? So that means suddenly you are riding a long distance, right? Or suddenly you are increasing the pace. So those are the things you are getting that you will get cramp, right? Then other thing is the electrolytes. So inadequate electrolyte supplementation, right? So that's the thing. So whenever you are riding a long, and particularly in a hot climate, you should take enough electrolytes, drink. So usually they say you should take 1 sip of electrolyte for 4 sips of water. So when you're taking 4 sips of water, in between you should take 1 sip of electrolytes. So that sort of things. And so those are the main reasons, because electrolytes and the unacclimatized or suddenly you are doing a big exercise, so then you will get the cramp, right? And doing inadequate stretchings, right? So before doing or cycling or exercise or whatever, unless you are not prepared, you will get cramp, right? And there may be other reasons, but as far as I know, so these are the things mainly.
Right. So let me move a bit on the same topics to dig a bit deeper with the doctor. Doctor, the one big problem we have is back pain. Your backside starts bum problems. Most people first complaint that we get is that. So I want you to tell us a bit about this bone that we sit on, because in our side of bike fitting, we have a lot of issues to try to solve this, because the saddle you sit, how you sit, all that has an impact. Can you tell us a bit from your point on your sit bone? And because we are anyway sitting on normal seats whole day, but when you get to a bicycle, you tend to have this problem. What are your thoughts, doctor?
Yeah, the thing is, because this is due to improper the pressure points, right? Because that's a problem. Because we get some people, the saddles, they are not used to that, right? Suddenly, when you are sitting in a narrow saddle, what happens is these bones will get a different pressure points, right? So then you will get pain. But when you are keep on riding and when you are keep on practicing, and that will go away with time. And then other thing is, the proper adjustment of the seat, right? So the seat shouldn't be too high or too low. If the seat is too low, you will get a bit of a rocking of your bottom, right? So you will do your butt will move this way, and like swaying of a back. So that will have, because that can cause problem with your bones, right? It can cause a bit of a friction in the ischial bones, and you will get pain. Like some people get saddle sore, and some people get bursas. Bursas means like cushion type of things, because you will get a little bit of lumpy feeling in your back. So those problems comes. So the mostly it is because of the improper positioning of the saddle and too narrow, right? Because you should select which saddle is more comfortable to you. So that will come with your experience. right? So you can see, yeah. So some people prefer more padded cushion, but pro riders, they rarely sit on the seat, right? So they keep on riding, they're almost standing in the seat because they sit in the seat in a very short while, right? But most of them, we are sitting in the seat for a long time and riding, try to ride. But pro riders, they almost riding in a standing position, right? They very rarely they're sitting on the seats, right? Okay.
Thank you, doctor. So just to add to that, from a bike fit point of view, if you are upright, that means you are in a very comfortable position like you see here. You put little pressure on your sit bones. Correct me, doctor, if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
As a result, because your nerves are at the front of that pelvis, right, doctor?
Yeah.
So if you can adjust the bike that way, of course, you will be a little slow because you're upright, but it will going to make you comfortable. So that is one side. Other thing is the size of your sit bone. Ladies tend to have a little bit larger sit bones. And that also might, as the doctor said, might not suit. The saddle you're using might not be suitable for you. So that's why if you have a problem, you need to do a bit of understanding of your sit bones so that you can go for, as you can see here, a bit of a wider saddle if you have wider sit bones. So some of the seat or saddle brands also give you a bit of guidance when you're buying it. And I'll tell you, however much you buy the most expensive one, it might not be the one that suits you. You have to sometimes trial and error. And one more thing, I think the doctor also said that you have to do some exercises for your back, for your glute. Sometimes you have not done any exercises and you're suddenly getting on a bike. So your glute, your back muscles have to be strengthened, and this exercise is a very good exercise for you to do. You can do this with a good posture, about 30 seconds each time. And after you become a little good at the first one, you can go and do single leg, because that's going to really help. So that's one thing I want to talk about the sit bones with the doctor there. Doctor, do you have to go?
Yes, sir, I have another meeting. I have told you.
Yeah, no problem.
Yes.
So I will. So doctor, thank you. I think if I summarize what the doctor covered, and if you have very specific, doctor, there was one question. We'll try to quickly answer that.
Sure.
If I am diagnosed with osteoporosis, is there a risk in me riding a bicycle? Ask Udayanga.
No, absolutely not, right? So you can ride the bicycle, but be careful, avoid falling, right? That's the main thing, right? If you fall, you can easily break your bones, right? But you can still ride the bicycle. It has a lot of benefits, but at the same time, don't forget to take enough calcium and doing resistant exercises, right? Like, jogging, running, and, skipping or walking, a brisk walking. So those sort of things should be recommended. Yes.
Last question, doctor, before you go.
Yeah.
A lot of demand for you. We'll have probably do a longer session. Nirujas, after 45, if you in the deteriorating phase, can you still stop further deterioration, prolong it with the right food? He's basically asking, apita hope
Yeah. Still, but the thing is like that, because after 20 years of age, we won't get, calcium deposition in our bone, but still we can slow down the the losing of calcium. We can maintain the strength, right? By doing proper exercises and diet, still we can maintain the strength without loss. Yeah.
So doctor, thank you so much. And we surely have another session one of these days. And all the best to you, and hope to see you on a bicycle soon. Thank you so much, doctor.
See you, Yasas, and thank you everyone. And thanks. Good night to you all. Thanks.
Good night. So guys, we are going to continue the discussion a little bit more. So building on what we discussed, we said when you're riding a bike, your body is connected to the bike in 5 places. Your 2 hands, and your 2 legs, your 2 feet, and of course your larger part of your body mass is sitting on the sit bone connected to your seat. All these places can be troublemaking for you, right? So that's why we talked about a little bit about this topic of getting the right saddle. So if I summarize it, When you take a saddle, there is a saddle length and there's a saddle width. So if you really want to check your correctness of your saddle size, you can take a cardboard piece and keep it, lay it on a little stool like this, lift up your legs for about a little angle. And when you sit on that cardboard, you will find the two areas that your sit bones have landed on. So you can take the center of it, the two of those areas, and measure the length of your two sit bones. That could help you to figure out what's the right saddle size for you. So you can do more research on this online. Just by putting more cushion on your saddle is not a very good suggestion. That's just going to make your saddle inefficient. Might not be the real solution for the right saddle. So Ekat, you might want to take a note of. And when you go and check certain brands out there, they of course try to give you a bit of a guide. So there's a bit of a professional saddle called Physique, which I use because I race and do a bit of long distance riding. They go and they recommend the saddle based on your level of flexibility. Because as you saw earlier, based on your flexibility and how you sit on the bike, your pelvis bone rotates. And more it rotates further forward, it tends to be compressing the nerve. So, of course, we are used to it. And because of the flexibility, we are able to handle that. But if you're new to cycling, you will have to take some of these into consideration. The simplest way to avoid it is to ride upright, keeping your handlebars high. But of course, that you need to ensure your bike is also ready to allow you to do that. So that's a bit on the bum side. And I also talked about the couple of exercises. This is very, very important exercise. The glute is a key part for you to do your cycling well. And because you're sitting on it, some of you have not exercised this at all for a long time. And if you do that, you will see a big difference. Was there anything else related to this area of discussion? Bone density, the doctor talked about a lot, so I think we can skip that. He also talked about the nutrition, calcium, about 1000 milligrams, 1200, and magnesium. And I am totally with him. Natural sources is the best way. When you get the recorded video of this, if you missed that part, you can check it out. So bone density building will require you to do weight bearing exercise, and cycling is not one of them. Neither is swimming. So he showed some exercises, anything you used to do at school, the push-ups, the pull-ups, the little bit of jogging in one place, burpees, squat jumps. So all of that is going to help you. But remember always to use the right posture. Body weight exercises are more than adequate for you to strengthen your overall bone density. One more thing, I'll quickly move on and we'll do a longer session with the doctor one of these days. Your feet is doing all the hard work connected to the pedal, and it's a very clumsy bone. Now in my little thing, the feet has gone missing. It's a clumsy bone, and it can give you trouble if you don't adjust the proper foot position on the bike. We have discussed this last time also. So generally this is where all the power, everything you generate finally through these bones only goes into the pedal of your bicycle. So if you have seen this pedal spindle, you should align it with this bone that connects. We call it the fifth metatarsal. That's where you need to connect it. Connect in the sense, align it along that. Also, when it comes to shoes, it's important to wear shoes, first of all, because even if your feet get hit on something, a shoe will protect. But there are different aspects to a shoe: the sole, the footbed, the heel cup, the toe box, all that matters. We generally recommend a bit of a stiff sole, because if the shoe bends, let me show you a cycling two examples of this. Sorry, I had to move out too. So if you take the typical typical track shoes, right? Sorry, the workout shoes, as you can see, they are very clumsy and they don't help the power you generate to effectively transfer to the pedal. But if that's what you have, you can use it. But I prefer this shoe, which is also a casual shoe, but it has a stiffer sole. So stiffness really matters. And also the heel cup stability. Now, that helps your foot to stay pretty stable. Now, this is a cycling shoe, which is not stiff. This is a mountain biking shoe. You can even walk on the normal ground with this. You can look at flat pedal cycling shoes as well. Some of you know some of the regular cyclists have a bit of a tripping shoe, pedal, for which we use a different type of shoe with a gadget called we call this the cleats that gets fixed into the pedal. As you can see, its sole is made out of carbon. It's extremely stiff. So there is no movement at all and all the power gets transferred. So that's going to give you a lot more power, plus help you protect your feet and the bones and stop giving you unnecessary problems in your feet when you're riding. So that's just one more thing on bones. Of course, there are different types of feet, arch, angles, all of that matters, little bits and pieces, which you know well, how your feet are, which also needs to be checked. Sometimes they can give chronic issues, but some of them can be adjusted in a bike fit. So I'll skip the others, and I think the doctor spoke about the collarbone issues. When you fall, try to save your collarbone. I have also gone through, the next time I will put this for a discussion, I've also gone through this welding with the Mahatya and tried it out, and I have a view about it. So I've tried the Western option, which is to put a sling and hang around, and also tried this whole pattu thing. This is when the collarbone is generally broken, but after a couple of weeks, it starts coming close and connecting. I'll leave it to another discussion with the doctor. I hope you don't have this issue. But generally, if you fall, sometimes you can have a bone breaking. So last point for the day, I want to leave you with, because we talked a lot about sitting. Sitting is very common today. And today we say sitting. Sometimes sitting can be a problem on the bike. But sitting today is said to be the new smoking. In other words, sitting kills more people than smoking. In other words, inactivity. So just the extra thought for you. But you know, you and I can very comfortably sit in a bench for a long time. But when it comes to the bicycle, we spoke, there are some technical things to think about. The real truth is, we tend to sit at least 15 hours of the day in 2022. 4 hours in the computer, 30 minutes eating lunch, driving another 1 hour. So there's a whole lot of time we are sitting at. As a result, we become extremely unhealthy. So I hope that's also eye-opener. 100 years ago, we only sat for 2 hours. And when you go to certain restaurants, you see a lot of people are standing and working. So if you can make that change, that's going to be a big factor, since we spoke about sitting. So this is the bicycle idea, how to sit at work. But then, of course, if you stand and not use the usual seat, I guess that itself will be a big health advantage. Summarize, we talked about bone nutrition. We talked about bone density and how to preserve your uncomfortabilities when you're riding a bike, sitting, back, holding things, feet, how you could address some of them. And then, of course, if there's an injury, the doctor talked about the common ones that can easily be fixed. They are not very complex injuries. What you can't afford is a head injury and a skull injury. That's why safety really, really matters. So you've seen this harness. It's a very cheap instrument, a lot cheaper than a bike compared to the other stuff we buy. So please invest in it. Spinner can help you, or you can find it somewhere. We talked a lot about the helmet, the yellow hat. So let me show where that's moving. We've seen a lot of people trying this out.
Helmet එකක් නැතුව bicycle පදින එක නවත්තන්න කාලය හරි. ලංකාවේ එක දවසකට පාරේ road accidents වලින් 7 දෙනෙක්ගේ ජීවිත නැති වෙනවා. ඇමරිකාවේ අවුරුද්දකට bicycle accidents වලින් 900ක් ජීවිත නැති වෙනවා. ඒකෙන් 200ක් දරුණු. ඒ accidents වලින් නැති වෙන ජීවිත වලින් 60%ක්ම head injuries. A head injuries වලින් 60%කට වැඩිය බේරෙන්නේ මේ helmet එකක් පාවිච්චි කරලා. ඉතින් අපි yellow hat movement එක පටන් ගත්තේ හැමෝටම afford කරන්න පුළුවන්. මේ වගේ construction helmet එකක්වත් අවමයින් bicycle පදින්න පාවිච්චි කරන්න කියලා හැමෝටම මතක් කරගන්න. ඒක දෙමව්පියෝ ළමයින්ට දෙන්න ඕන වැදගත්ම පරිදි. මොකද මේ වගේ simple helmet එකක් හැමෝටම hardware කිනුණත් රුපියල් 1000කට අඩුවකට ගන්න. හැබැයි මම ඉස්සෙල්ලා පෙන්නපුවා වගේ cycling වලටම dedicate කරපු helmet එකක් ගන්න උදාර වේදම් කරන්න පුළුවන් නම් ඒක වටින ආයෝජනයක් වෙනවා. අද ඉඳන් ඔයා දන්න කිසිම කෙනෙක් මේ helmet එකක් දාන්න නැතුව ආරේ bicycle පදින්න දෙන්න එපා. අපේ yellow hat movement එකට එක්කම.
So we see people doing that now. This is in case, guys, you are not going to spend a lot of money wearing on an expensive helmet. So that's a safety message for you. We have few minutes we could spend if you have any specific question. Sorry, Shani, we would not be able to address that discussion now. You will have to use your usual contacts. It's about selling a bicycle. So today's focus is on bone health, so we'll have to stick to that. Guys, is this helpful for you? Did you pick any good thoughts? Do you have any questions? Final before we close the session. And in the meantime, you could tell next session, which is going to be a week from now, not this next week, week after, what do you want addressed? We can then also give a specific focus on that when we set up the next 4th edition of Ride Smart. All right, friends, so I guess this has been a good one for most of you, and I hope you learn few things. Hope you look after your bones, because as the doctor says, after age 30, generally, you will start losing bone density, and you will need those bones for a long time to be healthy and to enjoy life and also to ride a bicycle. So look after those bones. And what we discussed today was about bone nutrition, taking naturals to get your calcium and your magnesium. We talked about bone density, how to improve it through exercises, weight bearing exercises, which you can do almost daily without too much of a problem, or every other day. We also talked about the importance of a bike fit, so that you sit properly on a bike. And finally, in case there's a problem, we also know a doctor who's a very, very helpful doctor, who's a friend of ours. He did a lot of great work in East, and now he's in Jaffna. So we have friends who could help all of us if we need any support to fix our bones. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, ride safe and enjoy. And if you see somebody riding unsafe, please be polite to them, but help them wear a helmet and the safety mask, because safety harness, because we just can't have anyone having an accident that can easily be avoided. All right, guys, thank you so much for participating. And thank you, Spinner team and Snipex, for organizing this. A lot of people, I think, couldn't join because of power cuts. That's life. But thank you and good night and ride safe. Take care.